Hi, my name is Nathan Albright. I'm a member of the board game community, and today I'm going to be reviewing Robert Seger's Planet Hysteria, a board game that's currently on Kickstarter. This is not a paid preview or paid review. I'm simply a well-wisher in this endeavor, and am excited to be reviewing this game. The version I'm going to be showing you today is a prototype. The final version may have some different components and some different pieces, but I'm going to be going over the premise and the story for Planet Hysteria. I'm going to be showing you the components as well as how the gameplay works, and then I'm going to be giving you some final thoughts and impressions for it. The premise and the story behind Planet Hysteria is that you are a terraforming team sent to a foreign world in order to make it habitable for humanity. When you land there, you start the preparation work to get the world ready, and you set a device in place that will, I believe it will be altering its course. It will be altering its orbit in order to make it habitable. And that final device that does that will set the final gears in motion to make the planet habitable. But it will be essentially the equivalent of setting off nuclear warheads on the planet and things like that. After you set the device, you stumble onto a building, an artifact that was there on the planet, and it doesn't look like an ancient ruined artifact. It looks like a giant tower, and you start to investigate it as you were in your final days counting down. You see that this planet was originally inhabited by other creatures, and you start looking back to it, or you start looking into that just a little bit. But although when you go back to your campsite, you see that your generator is broken, and then when you go back to your shuttle in order to go back to your rendezvous point, you see that the shuttle is also broken. You make the realization that the planet is still inhabited by other creatures, and you make the realization that they are a shape-shifting race, and that they have co-opted one of the members, at least, possibly more, on your team. So that when you start the game, you are tasked immediately with, in order to get the game won, you must repair the shuttle in order to get off the planet and survive. And that is, if humans are successfully able to do that, they survive. Except, however, the fact that there is a shape-shifting alien among you. And if that shape-shifting alien gets off the planet with you, then of course humanity would lose at that point. So, in order for humanity to win the game, they need to identify and isolate the aliens so that they can leave without them, and then repair the shuttle and get off the planet. And in the meantime, this is currently a frozen world. You need to maintain your health against the elements of the planet itself in the meantime. Let's take a look at the components. Planet Hysteria is a game for 5 to 15 people, and depending on how it's set up, it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to play. This is a quick overview of the components of it, and then most of the game centers around this central board here, which is supposed to be a map of the scientist site, as well as a calendar showing what events are going to be taking place on which days. You'll notice there is a rec room here centrally, and then off of that in the same campsite there's a kitchen, a bunks, a med bay, a laboratory, and out on separate locations there's a generator and a launch pad, and over here in Foreboding Red Blood is a dig site. One of the key pieces of this game, one of the ones that makes it unique in how it plays and the experience that it delivers, is that this game also comes with location boards, and there's a location board for each one of these sites, but they are set up at different locations. The rec room itself is the center of the game, and it is where this board and this map is located. And here is actually the location for the rec room itself. When a person goes, this game is made up of just like many co-op games where a player goes to a site and takes an available action at that site. But in this one, the actual physical player walks to a different physical site. If you were playing this inside a house, you might set up the kitchen in the kitchen. For example, if I was to walk over here, I could set up the actual kitchen board here in the kitchen. Or if I needed to go to the bunks, I might actually go through a door and set up the bunks here in a bedroom. And so you would actually go to a separate location. Everybody would decide their locations on where they would need to go and what they would need to get done for that turn. And then they would actually break up, go to separate locations where they don't see each other, try to complete these actions, and then return afterwards to the central board. Beyond location boards, people are given character cards in order to represent the characters they are, and this comes with boatloads of them as options for who to play. As we said, that there are 15 people that you could 15 people could play in this game at a single time, and there are tons of available options as you can see here. Much like many co-op games, each player has special action. Each character has special actions that they could take. Here is a mechanic, a doctor, a priest, a pilot, a miner, a synthetic, a janitor, a site manager, a soldier, a decorator. I could go on. And these people are all different things that would bring different skills to the party here. And each person would also gain a character sheet like this, which tells them what their health is at, and how many dice they get when they roll, and how many re-rolls they get. It also gives cheat sheets for what they're able to do at different places. It also has this game also has a clever mechanism in the fact that like many games like Shadows over Camelot or something, that you're not allowed to specifically say what you have for your health or your sanity, but if you have a health of 1 to 4, you have to say you're weak, but you can't say more than that. Or if you have a health of 5 to 8 or a sanity of 5 to 8, you're good, or you're okay. Or if you have a health or sanity of 9 to 12, you're good in that area. Each character starts with a starting health and sanity. In this case, the mechanic starts with a 7 and a 7, and it starts with how many dice that they can roll, which in this case would be 3, and how many times they can roll them to complete an action, which would also be 3. Different people start with different options and available stats to them. Now, after you choose your character and you get your character sheet, you're given an identity card showing either that you are a human or that you are an alien. And at that point, you get to find out what you're going to be working toward in the game. Now, let me take you through some of the sites, not necessarily all the ins and outs of how they work and what they do, but to give you a flavor of how they work within the context of the game itself. I'm going to be looking at them right here. I'm not going to be walking from site to site with the sites set up themselves. But again, the first site would be the launch pad for you to get off of the planet with. And here's a picture of the launch pad. And the launch pad actually comes with this picture of the shuttle. And here it's actually all repaired, but whenever the game starts, it's actually completely damaged. And that is how it looks whenever it's damaged. When you get to this site, there's actually at any given site, there's going to be 6 dice sitting at the location. And what you do is you can take one of the available actions here. You can either, these are actions that humans take, positive actions. Either you can roll to fix the shuttle, or you can actually roll to boost your own stats, and you'll gain a re-roll for every 2 successes you roll if that's the action you're going to take. So if I was the mechanic and I start with 3 dice, 3 rolls, I'd get to take 3 dice, and I'd say, I'm going to try to repair the shuttle. And it would take 2 6s in order to successfully repair one of the shuttle cards. And so I would roll 3 times to find out if I get 2 6s. And I would keep rolling until my rolls were gone or I had those. A special thing to note about ones are actually called epic fails in this game. And they cannot be re-rolled. They would go over here, and so if this was my first roll, a 5, a 4, and a 1, I would actually only get to re-roll these 2 for the other 2 options. I can actually get a 1 back and re-roll it by forfeiting a health. And that is sometimes a good thing to do. Because if you get 2 epic fails, usually something happens that is not what humans would want. Although it's possibly what an alien would want. In this case, 2 epic fails, and you would have to flip one repaired shuttle card over to damage, so you would inadvertently damage the shuttle. If you get 3 epic fails in one roll, you have to flip this mat to its damaged side, in which case you would actually damage the entire location of the launch pad. Aliens, if there's only aliens at the site, have the option to automatically damage a location, but humans can do so inadvertently as well. If that was the case, the mat would go to its damaged side here, and the only options that of humans would usually have available in most situations, as you'll see here, you can actually still try to repair the shuttle even though the launch pad is damaged. But the only other thing you can do is try to repair the launch pad first. So that is how you get off of the planet, by fixing the launch pad and fixing the shuttle. But again, you don't want to get off of the planet and have an alien in your midst, a shape-shifting, human-killing alien that can spawn others and possibly cause the downfall of the human race if it joins you as you head back to Earth. So you're going to be wanting to do some more research at the dig site. And so you come here to the dig site, and the dig site also actually has a triple card set up, much like the shuttle. The dig site has this antenna here. It's a tower that you slowly find out is an antenna, and it's currently damaged. But aliens can actually flip the antenna to repaired. And actually, if the antenna is completely repaired, that's actually one of the conditions that would cause an automatic alien win. In this case, humans can either damage an antenna, or they can gain an evidence card, which would come here from an evidence deck that would be placed just beside the location. So in this case, for every 1/6 that you roll, you would get to take an evidence card and bring it with you. You'll see there's actually nothing functional about the evidence card, although I will say each evidence card in this huge deck is loaded with text. Each one of them is loaded with flavor text. Each one of them is usually a dialogue, or it's some piece that they learn about the aliens, and they actually all go in order to tell a story. For here, this the number 1 card says the final report is in. There was life on this planet, but we wiped them out when we came here. Another person says this was the cost of survival. There were bound to be sacrifices. And the third one says, what if the invaders said that before they killed old Earth? Which is actually a key piece to the story, which I'm not delving fully into here, but that gives some of the urgency of why people are trying to terraform this new planet. For example, this and it continues to tell the story of what you learn about this race. Although, again, I mean, you can also just hold them as evidence cards, because you'll find out what you do with those soon. People can also, aliens or people can inadvertently damage this site, and of course you can see a win condition for building the alien antenna here, and the fact that you can't gather evidence at a damaged dig site. So, what do you do with this evidence whenever you gather this evidence at the dig site to find out more about the aliens that you're with? You actually go to the lab. This version of the prototype that I have actually doesn't have final artwork for the lab, but when you're at the lab, you actually you can take an action. You don't even need to roll, but you place all your evidence face down, and you then once there's evidence on the laboratory face down, you can roll, and for each 6 that you roll, oh boy, that would be awful right there. For each 6 that you roll, you can each 2 6s you roll, excuse me, you can flip one of the evidences, and once you flip 3 of them, you can discard the 3 evidences that you flipped and get a test. And these tests are how you actually force players to show if they're an alien or they're a human. That helps you move the game forward. Each one of the tests, this one says it's like us, this one says it's only organic, they actually all work each differently. For example, this one says this one's called mitosis. It says target a player. That player must announce their identity, and they can no longer use any items. It usually forces people. It gives them a reason not to immediately say, "Oh yeah, sure, test me." For example, this one's called bait here. It says, move the food token to the current day and target a player. That player must lose 3 health, and then target another player. They lose 1 health and announce their identity. So you would have to lose your food, you would have to damage somebody else, and then you would have to force the target to announce their identity. So these are bad decisions to make on how you learn about the alien, but they're all very thematic, very immersive as well. So that is how you find out who the aliens are. After that, as we've said, you need to keep the game or you need to keep the humans alive in the meantime. And you'll notice if I come back over here on this calendar, this starts at day 1 here on the calendar, or it starts before day 1, and there is a bell, I guess, for whom the bell is tolling, and it says it's the current day bell, and any propelled tokens cause penalties, and so there is a power token, a morale token, and a food token. And down here next week on the 12th day is when the terraformation event takes place. This game goes in, as I may have said just a moment ago, day and night cycles. You actually go out to a location, you take an action in order to do it, like either fix the shuttle or draw evidence or turn that evidence into a test, and then you come back. Everybody rejoins at the rec room to discuss what has happened and make any team level decisions. And then at the beginning of the next turn, this day token moves forward. If any of these power, morale, or food tokens move forward along with it, that means we're out and penalties need to be made. So if the power is out, or if the penalty of the power token is moved forward, is that there is no power at any of the sites. All the locations are outdoor locations. Then, as I've said, this is a frozen planet, and every turn there is a weather that's drawn. And sometimes, if it's a nice clear day, it's fine. It doesn't matter if every location is an outdoor location. But if it's snowing or if it's a whiteout, it can cause you have players, if they have to go outside, they have to lose health and sometimes sanity in order to get to an outdoor location like the launch pad or the generator or the dig site. But in this case, if there's no power, every location is an outdoor location. We all freeze and lose our health. If the morale is pushed forward, everybody loses a sanity. If the food is pushed forward, everybody loses a health. And so we move forward on those days. And so in order to keep the site itself running, we have to go and do things like fix the generator. Here's the generator's card, and it actually starts the game damaged, and you have to the only available thing to do is roll 2 6s in order to flip it to its repaired side. And then once you do that, the action you can take for every 6 you roll, you gain 1 power. You would write that down on your sheet on what you get to bring back to the rec room at the end of the day. And then, so say you and a team of 2 other people go out to the generator. The 3 of you take turns rolling for the generator, and between the 3 of you gain about 5 power. That would be amazing. But you would move the power token forward 5 days, and so you can take care of it in that way. After that, we have the kitchen. The kitchen helps keep people fed, and again, that's the penalty marker that if it's moved forward, people automatically lose a health for every day that happens. And it's just the exact same. You gain 1 food for each for each 6 rolled in this case. The bunks, you go to actually restore your own personal sanity or somebody else's sanity. And you can actually also have the option to level yourself up. If you choose to do exercise, you gain 1 dice if 2 successes are rolled. So if I start off with a mechanic and I'm always rolling 3 dice 3 times, and I successfully get that, I'd get to move up and roll 4 dice 3 times for the rest of the game. Lastly is the med bay. The med bay is where you would go once you're very low on health and you need to get healed some. You get 1 health for each success you roll, and players gain a health for each success you roll as well. After that, I guess I didn't talk about the fact that you can also stay in the rec room. What you can do in the rec room is you can either gain morale, or you can actually take this card. It doesn't even use a dice, and it allows you to draw 2 weather cards and choose the least awful one, or if you're an alien, choose the most awful one in order to find out what it's going to be like the next day. That's the weather radar. And then also you can, with 2 6s, you can move the day of the terraformation event out 1 by manipulating the device, actually. So that is how the locations go down for this morning and evening phases. That's how the different locations would work in the morning, when you go and you take your actions and you do your work. And as I said, in the evening phase, everybody would come back from their given locations. They would join back in the rec room. They would discuss what happened. They would move the day location along with any penalties with it. And they would, but before they would do that, they would actually apply any morale or any food that they gained before they moved the bell token. And then they would actually be able to have discussion level, or they would actually be able to have their discussion and vote on any team level things, which would include who takes the test, or who dispenses the test on whom, who's targeted by the alien tests that people had developed in the laboratory, or tying people up. If you actually suspect an alien or a player is an alien, you can tie them up and leave them in the rec room. Actually, that's what happens many of the times, and that person is no longer able to take any actions, and they can't leave the rec room. Or if you decide to leave on the shuttle, which would end the game, they vote to leave on the shuttle there. In any of these cases, the majority rules. And so if you, for example, on the first or second day, if you have a clear idea of who is an alien and who is not, you can vote to leave to go on the shuttle. And anybody who's not tied up all goes on the shuttle. They hop on there, they go to the launch pad, see if there is any, if the shuttle is repaired, and then they take off, and then the players that are on board the shuttle reveal. And if they're all humans win. And if there is an alien, if there's even 1 alien on board, aliens win. If you're an alien and you decide to reveal as an alien, you then get to pick up one of these alien cards. There's actually quite a few of these as well, which allow you to do different various things as well. This one says Cloud Encounter. This is a human host. This is called the Hideous Thing. Here's a body-snatching beast, a frost alien, and a telepathic Reddit predator, which looks a lot like Reddit as well. These allow players to take many different actions. If you're an alien posing as a human, you have human strength and you act like a human. If you one of the actions that you can take while you're at a location with somebody else is actually you can attack that person. If you're actually a human, or if you're an alien acting like a human, or if you are suspicious of another human, you can actually attack them, and it operates on the exact same principles of 6s. If you're wanting to attack them, you lock into combat, and 6s are hits, and it lowers their health by 1. 1s are failures that can't be re-rolled, and if you're trying to run away, 6s help you run away. If you're a revealed alien, actually, these stages come into play, and whatever stage you're at or past is how many dice and how many re-rolls you get. So aliens get progressively stronger throughout the game until a revealed alien is just throwing 6 dice 6 times at any given point. Also, revealed aliens actually still get to sit here at the rec room during discussion time. They get to listen in, they get to talk as well, and that represents the fear and paranoia of the alien that could be listening around in a given place, or just the paranoia that's creeping up in people's heads. Also, they get to take their actions after most all of the other characters leave to go to their actions, so nobody knows where the alien goes and what the alien is doing, because even as a revealed alien, you can go cause havoc by damaging locations, or trying to attack characters, or trying to repair the antenna. So all of these things eventually lead to the climactic moment of the remaining humans trying to leave to go on the shuttle. These here are the player chips that while you're in the rec room deciding where you're going to go in the next day, people place down and show which location they're going to go to. But one of the fun things about for attacking and defending these attacks, things like that, is you could actually flip these over, and that shows that player is defending. They don't actually get to take any actions at that site, but in a normal instance, if an alien came and attacked here, all players would be disrupted, and they wouldn't be able to take their actions. But in this case, this person is giving up any ability, even if nobody shows up, to do any actions there. And in return for that, if an alien comes to attack, they can only attack this player. There's other aspects of this game that make it even more immersive and more fun. There are items that you can get, like sled dogs and guns and grenades. There's other aspects of the weather. There's surprise things that can happen if you reveal as an alien without being forced to do so. There's just loads of things in this game that make it deep and rich, while all operating on a quick and easy to learn system. So that's how the game works. And moving on to my thoughts and impressions of this game that I would want to share with you. This game is amazing. This game is one of the most immersive games I have ever played. It follows BSG and Shadows over Camelot and other cooperative games where you're simultaneously attempting social deduction against the other players and also trying to survive the game itself. But the level of immersion in the moment and the heat of this game is great. One of the small things about this game that I think is fantastic is actually the rolling mechanics. The very simple rolling mechanics of rolls and re-rolls, and sixes are successes and ones are failures, is actually fantastic in this game, because it's super easy to understand. It's super easy to teach to brand new players that don't normally play games. And it allows you to never have to leave the moment of suspense in where you're at. You're busy trying to figure out if this person is an alien or not and see what they're going to do. And so you go out to a brand new location you haven't been to yet in the game, and you don't have to stop and figure out, oh, what do I do? Or, oh, how does this location work? It works the same as everybody else. It's just the stakes are different and what you're trying to go after is different. But the true compelling and game-changing mechanic for this game that I honestly believe could change the industry and open up a new direction for game design is the multi-space location. Obviously, like at the beginning, it develops a level of suspense and trust that's not there normally. In BSG, you can't go try to sabotage a location without everybody obviously knowing what you're doing, but you can easily do that in this game. For example, I remember one game where I was with a team, and two of us, actually it was three of us, decided to go down to the dig site. And in that moment, there was something that happened. I was very weak, I think, and I died. And the other two knew that I died, and it was an accident. I died like on a I rolled a 1 or something like that, and it caused me to die. And I immediately went, and they knew, oh, well, I'm sorry you died, now you're an alien. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry, well, now I'm going to be going against you, but best of luck. We left on good terms, but I immediately rushed back to the rec room to say, oh, guess what? One of those guys is an alien. And they started the battle with the others. I ran away in time, but they're still finishing the battle. If they come back and they both say that they're humans and I'm an alien, clearly the alien won. And so they come back later and they say, oh, guess what? He died early and he's an alien now. And I said, see what I tell you guys? And it did a fantastic job of sowing distrust among all the players, because like, who do we trust? What do we believe? But beyond that, beyond the level of suspense and trust in this multi-location setup, it creates this multi-narrative tapestry in the game that is found almost nowhere else. It's like almost no other game that you can play where the story you have that you have when you play the game is full and rich, and yet you know it's just a piece of the actual story and the full game going on. The only other game that I can possibly think of that has a multi-narrative tapestry like that is Diplomacy, where different people have different views of what's going on because they join up and talk to different people. But this game is not like that. This game creates a much richer depth, and it's not about talking or anything like that. It allows you to do so many amazing things in how you reveal and what the story in the game is like for you. Another game I played of this, there was a time where I was working hard as a human, and I was hurting myself to be able to re-roll ones, and there was times where I was getting hit by having to go outside in locations and blizzards and things like that, and I was really low on health. And I had my suspicions on who the aliens were, but I wasn't sure. And the doctor said, all right, go to the med bay. I'll help you get some health, because he has a very good power that allows him to heal people. And he went, and I went, and another guy went, because the other guy said, oh, I'm weak too. So the three of us go to the med bay, and we walk in, and the two guys look at me like, all right, well, clearly we're going to attack you. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, we're both aliens. And then a couple of minutes, like about 20 seconds later, as they're starting to attack me, the pilot walks in. One of the pilot's special abilities is that he's able to take actions after anyone else, even after the aliens, so that he can be kind of that wild card that either tries to hunt aliens or tries to get somebody's back. And the pilot walks in, and I just thought, oh gosh, at least somebody knows what's going on. And the pilot looks around, and there's an awkward moment of silence for just a second. And the pilot says, so did you guys turn him into an alien yet? So he was an alien too. And afterwards we spent like half an hour discussing with each other and discussing with other people. This was at a game convention, so lots of people ended up getting to hear about it. But how that happened, how one at a time these different people got turned, and everybody had a different narrative on that. And but for me, that was how that big reveal came, and it was fantastic. Another one for me, just to give another share of just how that narrative works in such a great way. There was one time where I started as an alien, and I eventually had to reveal. I became a revealed alien. I kept sneaking around. There were a couple of times I attacked people. It was fantastic to watch people be so nervous around me, and then I'd walk off, and then I'd come creeping into their room afterwards, and they'd say, ah. But one of the best ones was the fact that everybody thought I was going to go to the dig site. I snuck away, went around through a different part of the house to come back around to the same spot again, and I actually went to the shuttle after they had already fixed the entire shuttle. They had a couple of days of whiteout. I'm able to go outside, but a whiteout keeps the shuttle from being able to leave. And they came right down to right before the terraformation event takes place. They thought they had me. They knew that the shuttle was fixed. They all went up there, and I got to sit and follow and watch them, and them all basically fall apart in dismay because I had broken the shuttle again, and they had no idea what turn I had done it because they had me on all the other turns. It's just blasts like that because you're not able to get to see it like that. Which brings me to another piece on revealed aliens. Unlike Battlestar Galactica and Shadows over Camelot and other earlier cooperative games, this game gives substantial things for the bad guy. Once the bad guy's outed, he has tons of things, possibly more things to do than the humans do as far as able to work. He's a fully working, fully functional character that does more than just tries to slow down or annoy the human players at that point. And again, I cannot think of another game that has this level of meat and depth and immersion that can comfortably play 15 people without it getting bloated or too slow to play, since all the play is simultaneous and all the play is happening at different locations. I mean, yes, simultaneous. The turns themselves are simultaneous, but entire multiple stories are taking place simultaneously, in which you get to come in and come out about at the evening with the Rec Room. Again, this game is fantastic. I can't think immediately of what else I could say about this other than the fact that you should get on Kickstarter and support this game, because it is amazing and you should try it out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll consider it. I'll talk to you soon.